Bonjour, hello, I'm Michaela and welcome to my kitchen. So today we're going to be making the cauliflower crust pizza because that had the most votes, but don't worry, I'll do the bliss balls and the vegan carrot cake another time. So this is a really great recipe. I'm a big pizza lover, I love pizza, but the last few years, pizza just does not love me. So this is a great way of making pizza that will sit really well with you. So the recipe comes from the My MTV program and it calls for almond flour, which I didn't have any almond flour when I first made it, so I've been using spelt flour. And spelt flour is an ancient grain and it's much more easy to digest. So far I'm liking the spelt flour. I haven't used the almond flour yet, so I'm not sure the difference. So here we go. You take a cup of spelt flour or a cup of almond flour, so I've already done that. Half a cup of nutritional yeast flakes. Now I didn't have any flakes, so I used the powder, it's the same thing. And it's full of vitamin B12. That's why I love nutritional yeast. You take 1 or 2 cloves of garlic crushed. And then what we do is you take a tablespoon of chia seeds in 1/4 cup of water and you let it sit for 15 minutes to firm up, which is what I've done already. And then you're going to boil up a cup of cauliflower. So the key for this pizza, because you want it not soggy, you want it crispy, is you boil your cauliflower and now it's cool enough to handle. So you're going to squeeze it. You want to squeeze all the liquid out. That's the key. You want to squeeze all the liquid out. So you just kind of squeeze it in the paper towel till it all comes out. Okay, so that's it. And then I'm going to mash the cauliflower up. So that's one of the keys. The key is to get the cauliflower dry and to make your crust really thin. So once it's all done, you just mash up the cauliflower. And then you're going to add all your ingredients together. And that's going to form our crust. And actually it's kind of like a double baked pizza because you cook it first and then you grill it after that. So I've mashed it all up. So now I just add everything to the spelt flour or the almond flour. So that's that. My cauliflower. Overflow it. And this is the chia seeds. It's quite solid. So I just mix it all in. Now I'm going to mix all that together and also a little seasoning. You can use Italian herbs. I like this. It's a herb and pepper mix. So I just use this. It comes from Costco. So I just sprinkle a lot in for flavor. If you couldn't be bothered to use fresh garlic, you can use garlic powder. I've done that before. It's just as tasty and it saves you time as well. So we're just going to mix all this together to make our crust. So my hands are clean, so I'm actually going to use my hands because I like getting in there with my hands and squeezing it all together, and that's going to make our crust. And then we're going to spread it out on, so what you want to do is get a parchment paper. You can actually oil a pizza stone or a cookie sheet. I have a pizza stone, but I actually don't oil it. I don't need the oil, so I use a piece of parchment paper because I also find it's easier to spread out the dough. So I'm just mixing all this together. My bowl was a little bit too small, but I like to squeeze it. I find the best way to get it all nice together. Okay, making a lovely mess. But that's okay. All right, so squeeze it all together. See, it's getting nice and it's all binding together nicely. It gets all over your hands, but that's all right. Okay, and once it's all mixed together, we're going to spread it out on on the parchment paper. But the key is you want to get it really thin because that's going to make your crust nice and crispy. If it's too thick, it will get soggy in the middle, and you don't want that. So let's just start putting some on there. Play-Doh, but you can eat it. All right, so just finishing mixing all this up. Okay, so that's it for today. I did notice that using the nutritional powder is a little different than the yeast, so you might want to use a little less nutritional powder. if you're using the yeast as powder, you might want to use a little bit less. All right, so. Okay, so the key, like I said, is you want to get it really thin. So you want to squish it out first, and then you're going to have to wet your hands a little bit to make it. You can use the back of a spoon. I've tried that before. I've just found the best way to do this is with my fingers. So I really push it in first, and then I start moving it around. So you can use your elbows, your palm of your hands. I'm just going to wet my hands a bit. Get your hands a little bit wet. There we go. And then you just kind of push it. But it takes a little while going. You can shape it any shape you want, but just really make sure that you make it as thin as possible, because like I said, that's what's going to give your pizza a nice crisp. And also we're going to cook it on high heat. So we're going to preheat our oven. It's 220 Celsius, which is about 440 Fahrenheit. So it's a high heat you're going to cook it on. And you're going to cook it for about 15 minutes. You'll see the edges will start to get really brown. So then that's how long you want to cook it for. So keep going, wet your hands again. It's really important to get it thin. Don't give up, because like I said, no one likes soggy pizza in the middle, right? So I just spend some time really working this. Get the shape you want. There we go. Oops. Wet my hands again. And you can feel where it's thick in areas. That's where you're going to have enough dough. See, you can see where it's built up. You're going to have enough to move it out. And then after you bake it, and it's nice and crispy, then you're going to put your toppings on, and then you're going to put it back in the oven, but you're going to grill it. I've actually baked it again and then grilled it, but now I don't. I just kind of grill it in the oven again. And you can put whatever toppings you want on it. And that's I actually made one with a lot of cheese for my husband last week, and he really liked it. I go easy on the cheese, but I put on all my favorite. I love mushroom pizza. And this one just sits really well. You don't feel bloated, you don't feel sick. All right, so see how it's really nicely, got a really nice crust here, and you're just pushing it out. I think that's pretty much done. Oh, there's more here. Okay, so there we go. So there's our crust. We're gonna put it in the oven for 420 Fahrenheit to 220 Celsius for about 15 minutes, and you'll start to see all the edges get really brown. The crust is out, and you can see that it's all nice and crispy around the edges. So now I use a natural tomato sauce. So I just spread it around, and you just do like a regular pizza, and you top it with whatever you like. I love mushrooms, so there will definitely be mushrooms on my pizza. Okay. So, onions. I mean, you can go crazy here and put on whatever you want. And we're going to grill it. So make sure you cut everything nice and thin, because it's going to be grilled. I put fresh tomatoes on. Just cut them in half, the little cherry tomatoes. And I love olives, so I cut a few olives. There's my mushrooms. And then for the cheese, I take a little bit of feta and I just crumble it on the top. That's what I do. I've got my feta, I take a little piece and I just literally crumble it a little bit too long, so it probably needs about 4 minutes in the griller. And then what I do is I just it looks delicious and it smells amazing. I just pop some fresh spinach on top, and that's it. I can't wait to tuck into this for dinner tonight. So I hope yours is just as delicious.